3. Hello, Wendy. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. This is so fun to meet you.
And thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to interview you.
Yeah, it'll be great. I know we're certainly a long ways away from each other, but here we get to see each other like we're in the same room. It's great.
Yes. So, friends, we have one of the renowned hypnotherapists here, and there's long to share about her, but I promise to keep it crisp. She is a worldwide leader in creating rapid change for life's difficult problems. Since 1994, her website Wendi.com has influenced the lives of millions worldwide and brought insight, wisdom, and spiritual growth to people in need. She has often described by her colleagues as a powerful healer, teacher, and creative marketing expert. And they tell her that she is one of the most loved transformational trainers in the world. She was once a flat broke single mother of two, which you may not be believing that flat broke single mother of two with no resources, money, help, or partners. She created a transformational business for devoted followers who seek real change. Her work caught the attention of the media, and she quickly became an authority on how to make rapid and massive change. I love that word, Wendy, making rapid and massive change in mind, body, and spiritual life. Friends, she has created more than 300 programs on audio and video that will teach how to really use our brains. Because when I was preparing interview Wendy, I thought, oh my God, there's so many questions I need to ask Wendy. So if you allow, maybe in future we can have part 2, part 3, because there's so many questions. I thought, okay, let me cut short with different categories. So Wendy, why not psychology? Why not something else? Why hypnosis? How did you get into hypnotherapy?
Well, it was quite an odd thing that happened. I was reading newspaper and we had classified ads in the back of the newspaper way back, in 1994 or so there was one classified ad that said hypnosis school. Okay. And I called them up, and it was a very tiny ad. I don't even know why I saw it. It said hypnosis school, and they said it starts tomorrow and it's 6 months long and it's 4 days a week. And it was a lot of time spent. And I said, well, I don't have any money. So the instructor said, well, come anyway. Maybe we can work something out. You can come to the first 4 days for free. And so I did. And I was so awestruck. I was amazed at what I learned in those first 4 days. And then I found out that hypnotherapists are a great profession. You get to meet a lot of people and help a lot of people, and you also make really good money. And so then I just started paying in small amounts for the class. And there I was, being a hypnotherapist.
I know you have told it in few seconds, and I know what could be the journey from where you were to where you are, and so that's how you got started. Amazing. Once I had a conversation with a clinical psychologist. She said, Nizam, talk to me about anything, but please don't talk to me about addictions. That is such a pain. I would never want to go there because of the amount of hard work we need to put there, and the results are very less. And here you stand as a one of the best or authority to go to person when it comes to the addiction. That too, quit smoking. I have seen many hypnotherapists or millions of people doing, but when it comes to alcohol, no. I haven't, at least in my experience of this 10 years, I haven't found many people having a successful rate with alcohol de-addiction, and you stand as an authority. Please tell the secret of success, Wendy.
When I first started working with addictions, my first client was a meth addict. So he had been doing meth for 15 years or so. And I was very new in hypnotherapy, but I wanted to help him. And so he came in and did sessions. He did 3 sessions the first week. And when he came in for the next session, he says, the strangest thing happened. I quit doing meth after our 3 sessions. And he said, I quit doing it. I feel like I'm really committed. And I feel like I want my life back so much more than ever, and much more than doing meth. So we worked together for 2 months. And 6 months later, he came into my office and brought me this really pretty silk yellow rose and said, just thank you. I have my family back, my life back. I haven't done meth. I never will again. I just know that. So that was pretty miraculous when I thought, how did I do that? Because meth is the hardest. And alcohol is up there being one of the hardest addictions to stop. So I started working with people for alcohol. And it didn't make any sense that they were being successful so quickly after we would just work together for our first 3 or 4 sessions. And then I would do small groups that would come in that wanted to quit drinking. And almost all of them would just forget to drink or just not want to drink. They didn't fight it, and they didn't have to go to all these meetings, and they didn't have to stand up in front of everybody and say, hi, I'm George, I'm an alcoholic. So then I made a program that has a lot of sessions in it. They're all hypnotherapy sessions, but it's not just about quitting drinking. It's about you getting your life back, your self-esteem, that you love yourself, that you honor the things that you have in the world to such a degree that nothing would get in the way. And then we do work that is taking people into their future. So taking them into their future and experiencing yourself, not as an alcoholic who's in recovery, because that's not what you are anymore. It's that you are strong and healthy and in control. And each one of those means something from our hypnosis sessions. So when you go into the future and experience yourself in that way, and you realize how life has just opened up for you, there are ways that a hypnotherapist can make that be your reality now, and you don't have to struggle.
Okay. And Wendy, this is my honest observation from your website. When I talk to certain hypnotherapists, they have this copyrighted, trademarked, and I'm the only authority to teach this. But you have created the programs, and that too, instructor-based programs on how to become, helping people to get out of this alcohol stuff and all that. What made you to share your gifts with the world so openly?
Well, I am really serious about helping people with addictions because I have helped an extraordinary amount of people with it. I'm really committed to it because I know that I have something special in the program that I created, and people can do it on their own. They don't have to come to me to do private sessions, although a lot of people do fly in and come and work with me for 5 days, but they don't have to. They can do it on their own at home. And I think what I need people to know is the AA and 12 step, and you know about that, and rehab, where you go for a month and you pay $30,000, has a very low success rate. And it is known and documented that it's 5 to 7%, which is the same success as if you do nothing and get no help.
That is,
but the
the
person trying to quit,
truth.
yeah, terrible. The person who is trying to quit thinks it's their fault. They think, I don't have what it takes, and I failed again.
Okay.
Well, one of the things that is really important is if anybody out there is a hypnotherapist and you're wanting to work with people who have addictions, if they have failed and failed and failed, they're coming from a belief that nothing is going to work.
Yes.
And they have such low self-esteem, and they just hate themselves because of it. So you're going to be giving them something the very first session that you do that's going to make them realize that, oh, wow, I feel so different about this. And I want the feeling that I have when I'm healthy and I'm feeling good. And we have made that the feeling that you crave. And that comes from eating healthy foods and no alcohol, because you don't do that anymore. But instead, if you go to AA meetings and you have to get up in front of the people and say, you know, hi, I'm Sally, I'm an alcoholic, or I'm a recovering alcoholic, and you're not allowed to hang out with normies, and normies are people who drink. I was in a grocery store in California and a woman stopped me and said, Wendi, oh my gosh, I bought your alcohol program. And she says, now when I go down the liquor aisle in the grocery store, I just want to dance. I feel so good. I don't want any of it, but I just feel so good about myself and so proud that I want to like get down. And I've heard so many stories like that. It changes how we are reacting to it. And it makes us happy and proud if we see someone drinking or smell alcohol or see alcohol.
And Wendy, you have created one train the trainer program also to people who want to become trainers in this addiction program. Could you please tell more about that?
Yeah, that has been so amazing, because the people that come for my training, usually they're hypnotherapists already, but they're very skeptical because they don't think we should be working with addiction.
Yeah.
But when I share the stories of my clients and what's happened, you know, they do start warming up to it and thinking, oh, well, maybe I should learn this and I could actually do that work, you know, because it's so dogmatic about the 12-step and that you have to go to rehab. And if you fail, it's just your fault. You didn't try hard enough. You didn't work the program. And they are, when the people in training with me to do this and learn this for their clients, what they need to find out is how AA and 12-step is actually hypnotizing people to fail and to be susceptible and to always be on the verge of relapse, because they teach them these things. So another woman, this one is great, because I say that the sight of alcohol, the smell of alcohol, thinking about alcohol would just make you feel stronger and more proud of yourself and absolutely certain that you love your healthy life, right? So she was at a hotel at a conference, sitting at the bar, drinking club soda. Her friend came up and didn't know she had quit drinking a month ago and bought a glass of her favorite whiskey and waved it under her nose so she could smell it. And she said, Wendi, when I smelled that whiskey, I knew that I was strong and healthy and in control. She says, it did not have any effect on me. And here she was surrounded by bottles of alcohol, bartenders, people drinking, and she only felt stronger and more sure. I'm amazed at how we can do that. So my people that I train, they learn that they can't have both. You can't support the AA 12-step and do this kind of work. And they learn it really profoundly.
Amazing, amazing. When it, of course, I didn't work with this client, but I heard his story. I came to know, like, he had been to rehab on and off for the past 6 years or 10 years, I don't know. Almost spent everything he had, and had been divorced and so many things. He was under psychiatric medications and all that. How is, like, people, I have seen people like relapse is higher, though they had been to rehab. Why is your program different from other programs?
Well, it is the exact opposite of what they're doing. So
that was nice.
what I do when if I have a seminar for either people who are addicts or for trainers, is I take a big whiteboard and I put a line down the middle, and we look at what all the AA beliefs are on one side, and I write those all down. And then what the beliefs are of the addiction freedom training, and we write those down. When you look at the difference, especially if you're a hypnotherapist, you see all of the things that AA is wanting you to believe, and thinking that's not how the brain works. That's not how we make people better. By focusing on their failures, making them go make amends to everybody, standing up in front of the meetings and telling all your sad stories and your failures and your fears about drinking. But you're going to go to 90 meetings in 90 days, and you're going to hear very sad stories. When you're listening to them, you're internalizing them, and your brain is growing neural pathways that support all that fear and doubt and the failure. So now when you use my program, we're doing exactly the opposite. If I take you into your future and I don't say you're not an alcoholic, I say when you are strong and healthy and in control, you love your life and you feel so good about who you are, then we look at, instead of being an alcoholic, you are someone who's strong, healthy, in control. And those are two very opposite aspects to live in. We release all of the guilt from the past and all the feelings of failure. So listening to those stories keeps the failure alive. 90 meetings in 90 days. It keeps regenerating your own fear and doubt. And someone might get up and they'll tell a story about, oh, it's terrible. 3 days ago, I went out with my friend and I bought a drink, and then I had another one, and then I got in my car and oh my God, I ran into a tree. I'm just so bad. So now everyone listening, their brains are finding all the circumstances, the failures, the regrets, and energizing those. It just wouldn't make any sense. If you were, let's say a competitor, an athlete, and you run track or something. So you're going to run track, but first, every time you go out there, you're going to listen to everybody's stories about how they stumbled and fell down, or they thought they were having a heart attack while they were running the race, or that their legs just felt like they were cement. Or how would you think that anybody's going to have the right mindset to go out there and run a good race, right?
Wow. Yeah, this reminds me of a recent meme I was reading over Facebook, that you cannot open the new lock with the old keys.
High five.
Yes. So that's Wendy's program about why her the addiction.
Love that.
Is,
I love that. That is just so true. Yes. But we can open the new lock with the new keys.
Yes.
People have never taken themselves into the future to imagine not being an addict. They haven't done that yet. And what's really cool, one of my clients, he was 45 years old. He had drank over a case of a beer every day, which is at least 24 beers. Sometimes it was more. And he called himself a fat slob drunk. And he said, I've never been anything else but a fat slob drunk. So he used my program on his own. And he listened to the sessions. And about 3 days into it, he said, I haven't had a drink. I just kind of forgot to drink. Is that okay?
Is it okay?
And then like a couple weeks later, he contacted me and said, there's beer in my fridge. It's been sitting there all this time. I didn't even notice.
Okay.
So he opened a beer, poured it in a glass, looked at it, and poured it out. He didn't drink. He says, I don't drink. So anyway, in his future timeline that he did in that session, he went a year in the future and he experienced himself being an Ironman. And you know what like Ironman triathlons are, right? And he called me and said, I'm not an athlete. I'm a fat slob drunk. Why did I see myself being an athlete? He started training and now he travels the world doing Ironman triathlons.
Wow.
For years, I think 15 years now. Wonderful. He's been an Ironman triathlete all over the world.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing? He would never have thought about being an athlete.
Amazing. So, Wendy, I have met a lot of teenage boys and men even in their 40s and 50s not able to get out of their habit of masturbating. There are some people who are not able to get out of smoking despite taking so many New Year resolutions. I think this is the right time to talk about addictions part. So there could be anything, porn addiction, there could be drugs of various kinds. So can this structure of de-addiction of alcohol program can be replicated to any sort of addiction, Wendy?
Yeah, and I have used the same principles for, let's say, porn addiction, which again, I thought, how would I stop a porn addiction? That's really powerful. Using the same principles, I worked with my first client for that, and he had had this porn addiction for 30 years.
Okay.
And now it's on computer, and so it's really easy to access it.
Yes.
So I had him go into the future, and having stopped the porn addiction, that was a long time ago. He doesn't need that anymore, but he has something else that matters to him much more. And when he found those things that matter to him, which was his 3 daughters and the life that he loved, but and all the guilt that he didn't have anymore, the ways he was proud of himself, I attached those feelings to him seeing his computer. Whenever you see your computer, whenever you sit down to use your computer, your inner mind is going to remember how you love yourself and the man that you are and the amazing father you are. And you'll realize that you can do your work on your computer and it's no problem for you because there's something you love even more. Well, there is more sessions than just that, but he quit. He had tried everything. And all those years, nothing worked, but this did. And he quit. No more porn. And he could still use his computer.
Yes. And when they're moving from alcohol to other forms of addictions, thank you for clarifying that. There comes a typical, I'm not sure if I should call this addiction or not, but people who have broken relationships like divorce or breakups, but not able to get out of that relationship mentally. They're out of it physically, but not mentally. So addicted to old memories of the same person, old memories of that, and they are not able to be open to new relationship. So somewhere
Right.
they are stuck. Like a person is stuck with the alcohol. Here is this teenage boy, girl, or doesn't matter any age, stuck with the old memories also, and they're not able to move on in this life. So
Yeah.
will your methods help people to get out of such relationship issues as well?
Yeah. And it is really important. I discovered this specific thing after a breakup I had, and I was just so heartbroken, and I couldn't do anything but think about him all the time. And I put myself into like a state of trance. I was
Okay.
going into this sacred room, and it was like a building. I was just imagining whatever came up in my mind, I would just use it. So it was a building that I could go in, and I had myself put everything that had something to do with him in that room. Everything we'd ever done, all the places we'd gone, something that represents all of that in that room. And then I went out and closed the door, and I could go look in through the windows. So it's all in there. I could go and revisit it if I wanted to, but it was all the attachments and everything that represented that. Then I walked down a path and walked away from it, and I'd look back, and I'd walk farther, and I'd look back. And then I imagined I was 6 months in the future, and I had the next morning when I was in the shower, all of a sudden, whatever I did in that session just went bam. And I was like,
Wow.
oh, I haven't thought about Greg. I haven't thought about him at all. So what? And it just dawned on me that I had like cut the cord. So you can use this process for grief as well. If there's someone who's died, and my oldest son died 2.5 years ago, and
Sorry to
I
know that.
did this. Thank you. I did this with this sacred room, And the sacred room turned into, it was made of quartz and it had jewels all over it. And it was very much not on this earth. And I went in there and he was in there and I talked to him and he told me some stuff that I didn't know. And I was like, oh, so honored to be with him. But when I left, and I knew I could come back to that room anytime, when I left, my heart was just so healed from the pain.
Wow.
It was extraordinary, the difference. And so that same process, whatever kind of room is your sacred room, just use it and just see what happens with it. And it was so special. I still think about my son all the time and, you know, have conversations with him in my mind, but the hurt is gone.
So beautiful.
Yeah. So for relationships as well, people can get over heartache really easily.
No doubt you have all unique methods with 300 plus programs and your website is full of like, I was like, Wendy, how much time on this earth you got it to create these programs and working and training? You have given such a gift to the world, even like fellow hypnotherapists and other form of coaches, therapists can use this. Now, my question is about, since we spoke about addiction part and all that emotional stuff, the breakup, now I want to come to this physical pain. You have created amazing programs on pain, not pain management, to heal the pain, not how to manage the pain. You have created programs on how to heal the pain. So does hypnosis really work on helping a person to get out of pain, Wendy?
Yeah, it does. It depends on what kind of pain you're dealing with, of course. But what taught me about the fact that a lot of our pain, it feels like a physical pain, but it's really a mental state that is regenerating the experience of the pain. So I worked with a woman who lost her leg in a motorcycle accident and she had phantom limb pain. So she was feeling pain where her leg was damaged that wasn't there. So we reconstructed her healthy leg in her brain. So her brain could have this imaginary pathway to go down into all the parts of that leg and brought all that information back up to her brain. So now her brain thinks that that leg has healed. It's no longer damaged and she didn't have any pain anymore because the brain never completed the process of the leg healing. So it still is stuck in the fact that there's pain. And I did this with other amputees. There was a man who was a diabetic and his foot got diseased and infected and they had to remove it. And his phantom pain was really bad. He says, I drink a fifth of whiskey every night and I take pain pills just so I can pass out because I can't sleep otherwise. So we did a session of going down inside of his foot, imagining inside with the bones and the blood and everything else, reconstructing it so that it was perfectly smooth, beautiful skin. It was healed on the inside and the outside, brought that message back up to his brain. And guess what? No more pain. And he had been at a pain clinic for a year. He was going to the pain clinic a couple times a month. And it was gone. So now what I thought was, okay, what about back pain? Like someone has some really bad back pain. Is it really happening in your back? Or is there something else that we're not getting the right message sent back to your brain? So I do have programs for different kind of pain, like back pain for one. And I used to have some pretty severe back pain. I would have a back spasm that would leave me lying flat for 3 or 4 days sometimes that I couldn't hardly get up. And when I learned hypnotherapy and I grasped this concept of where pain is, I would go down inside my back and help heal the tissues or pretend that I'm healing them, and then bringing that up to my brain. And it would take maybe a few hours after that, but my brain would get the message and my back was like, it's tight, but you know, I can get up and move around. And headaches, this woman had migraine headaches every Thursday, horrible ones. They were really intense and the doctors couldn't do anything for her anymore. But every Thursday, And so we did what's called regression to cause. I had her go back, regress to the cause of whatever caused these migraines. And so this one's pretty extraordinary. So she's in my recliner, and all of a sudden, when I asked her to go back to that time, she couldn't breathe, and she was in the chair, like just kind of like just trying to breathe, going, and I was like, oh. So I said, on the count of 3, when I touch your shoulder, you will stay in that moment. You'll be able to breathe easily. And I said, 1, 2, 3, and I touched her shoulder, and she went, I said, stay right in that moment. Tell me what's happening. And she said, my husband is strangling me. He's trying to kill me. He's trying to kill me right now. And so we worked through that and released that. And I asked her, what day of the week is it? And she said, oh, it's Thursday. So every Thursday she had an intense migraine because the trauma was still there.
Oh,
and they just kept
God.
giving her pain pills and trying to just over medicate her. Her migraines were gone. She never had another one. Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
So some pain isn't,
It's not amazing.
I mean, it's
a
real pain, but
miracle.
it's just, it's the result of memories being replayed in a lot of cases.
When you're on this note, I have come a certain category of hypnotherapists who are not so impressed with the regression to the cause, with the fear of re-traumatizing the client. So, what's your perspective on this?
It's interesting. I just did a podcast about that a couple weeks ago, because it is kind of a controversy of whether or not you're going to re-traumatize someone. You want to get the trauma released. You want to get the emotions that are being freshly renewed every day. You've got to get those released and resolved. We don't re-traumatize them, but you have to know what you're doing to do regression work. You take someone back who's, like a woman that she was an alcoholic by her words, but all her adult life, she'd had trouble with that. So we say, go back to the very first time when you learned something about that and about alcohol. And she goes back to being 2 years old, which this is a great example of regression to cause. So she says, I think my mom is holding me, and you can feel what's happening in a regression, but you also speak from your adult self. So my mom is holding me and I feel good. Everything's fine. And I said, what else do you notice? She says, well, I'm comfortable and I'm a baby. And so then she says, oh, my mom just put me down on the floor. Oh no, she just left. She just put me down and walked away. And now I'm crying and I'm upset. And so as a baby, she doesn't know why, but she's describing it as an adult. She says, mom came back. Oh, mom picked me up. Now she's holding me. Oh, okay. So this was traumatic because it happened repeatedly. And then she said, from her adult brain that knows what's happening, but from her baby self that experienced it, she says, I can hear glass tinkling or ice cubes tinkling in a glass, the sound of a drink. And she says, I can smell it. There's alcohol in that glass. My mom went to go get a drink, and now she's holding me and I can smell the alcohol. So if this happened to her hundreds of times, where she felt rejected, put down on the floor, comes back, is held and secure, and the smell of alcohol is connected to that.
Oh my God.
After we did that work, she didn't drink anymore because her brain wasn't having that misfire that said, I have to have alcohol to feel secure. If I'm rejected, I've got to have alcohol to feel like it's going to be okay.
Wow.
But regression to cause is really, really powerful, and you need to be well trained to do it.
Yes, I agree with
Yeah.
you. And moving on to one of the most important things in our life, at least I feel, money plays a vital role. And I know most of the audience who are viewing this interview later part when it is made it public. So they would, at least if not read Think and Grow Rich book is a very common name to be used. Like most of them know about it. At least they have read or heard about this book. What inspired you to develop a hypnosis program relating to Think and Grow Rich and add certain hypnosis exercises as a supporting program for this Think and Grow Rich? What inspired you, Wendy, about it?
Well, in the beginning, what inspired me to work on my money issues was because I was so miserable and I had no money and I was in debt. And the IRS man would actually knock on my door at my house and say, "Got any money for us?" Because IRS here, of course, is the tax man, which they don't normally come to your house. But I worked on the issues, which I do with my clients, worked on the issues of self-sabotage. Why are you continuing to make the mistakes that make it so you don't make money, or not being motivated or brave enough to do something that would make money, feeling you're inadequate, and finding all those things that are part of that. When I read the Think and Grow Rich book, it was like I was reading my own thoughts. It was really weird. And every chapter, I made a hypnosis session that goes along with that chapter. But the program that I made, the financial abundance program, it is number one, you've got to find your self-sabotage. And it means you're doing something negative, but for a positive reason, that there's an underlying positive reason.
Okay.
Once you find that, you won't be sabotaging yourself anymore. And then I take a person into that future and we stop at 3 months in the future and look what you're doing now. Notice what you've created and how things have changed. We go 6 months and find out what you're doing in a year. And it's pretty interesting what people come up with. They're not inventing it.
Yes.
It's just going like, wow, this is what I'm doing. So for me, when I went 1 year in the future, when I was broke, I did not make any of it up. I didn't like say, okay, I want to see hundreds of people or thousands of people who are my clients. I didn't do that. But when I went into that future, I was holding a book in my hand, and apparently I had written this book. And
Wow.
I'm not an author. This is really strange.
Where does this come from?
And there were like hundreds of people standing around, just really grateful. And they were thanking me for having helped them in their lives. And I was like, interesting. And then also in that moment in the future, I had bought a brand new, beautiful house. Wow. And I had opened the door to my beautiful new house in that vision. There was no furniture in it. I was doing cartwheels. I was jumping around. So after my session, I thought, there's no way I can buy a house. First of all, I'm in debt. I owe money to taxes. I don't have any money. There's no way. Consciously, this is what I thought. However, the hypnosis sessions that we do have a lot more power than that conscious critical brain. So in the next year, I was much braver. I took more chances. I did things that did not cost money, like I would walk into doctors' offices and drop them off some coupons for their clients. I went into a big, beautiful health club, said, "Hi, can I do hypnosis sessions in your health club?" They said, "Yes. As a matter of fact, we have 3 health clubs." They sent out my information to 30,000 people on their mailing list. Wow. They said, "You can use the aerobics room for free for your classes."
Amazing.
And I had to pay them nothing. They put it in their newsletter for 30,000 people to see, just because I walked in there. And I started doing those kind of things that I wouldn't have done otherwise, because my brain was just going, okay, let's just see what happens. And then after 1 year, I had made in sales of my products $1,012,000, because I told myself back then I would make $1 million or more.
Wow.
And it almost exactly came to $1 million in sales. And in that same week, 1 year later, I opened the door to my beautiful house, brand new, beautiful house. Now, had I not done that experience in that session, I'm pretty sure I would have stayed in the same mindset, that nothing would have shifted, because I had a belief that I was pitiful. I found that out in the hypnosis, that I'm pitiful.
Awesome. Friends, what I want to clarify is Wendy didn't just visualize and became millionaire just like that. She, she took all the inspired action as well. But the session plus the action, it's not that, because why I wanted to make it clear is people have all kind of notions that hypnosis will make me rich and I don't need to take action, but this action born out of certain hypnosis sessions inspired. So there is thank you for clarifying that. After this session you opened the house like in the movie Secret, people visualize and they boom, there is this car, there is house, there is this. In between what happened also you have explained. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah. And it isn't just about visualizing. It's about being in the experience so fully that there's things that happen, like you say, I wrote a book. What? Yeah. You have to it's not affirmations, and it's not saying, okay, I'm going to be rich, because money is just paper with ink on it. That's not what you're after. You're after the experience that will reward you with money. So in my future vision, I wasn't seeing piles of money. I wasn't imagining bars of gold. It was the people that I had helped that were so grateful. And my book, and I did end up writing a book that was about the same time, finished about the same time at that 1 year point, but it's about the things that you're doing that make you deserve to have wealth and be rewarded and be grateful that I am worthy of this. And that's what you want to create.
Amazing. And Wendy, now moving from the money part comes the relationship here.
And I know where you're going with this.
Okay. So people have shying, like I don't deserve, or approach, like I have seen like concept of speed dating. You are given 30 minutes and you speak to partners and like what not is happening. I don't deserve, I am not good enough, who would date me, blah 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 stories and past experiences. To be confident in order to feel deserved, does hypnosis help in feeling good about oneself and being open to relationships?
Yeah. And so much of it has to do with the fear of rejection, because we've all been rejected before. And if you have a few rejections, your brain keeps stacking them up, in there and saying, I'm not worthy. And if we don't feel worthy when we're with a person, especially in an intimate, just a setting where you're close and you're both connected and you're talking, we share thoughts and energy and emotions that we're not verbalizing, but we are sharing them. And so if you're unworthy at your core, the person you're with gets it. They don't know consciously, but there's like, I don't know, there's just something there that I can't deal with. And whatever your issues are, maybe if you've been dumped enough times, you feel really angry and you carry that anger, but it doesn't show, but the person with you can feel it. So we've got to release a lot of those feelings, but also get you to find that worthiness and find out what it's going to be like when you have a really beautiful experience of what you can give in the relationship and what you have to make it better and how you add something to it. But we've got to get the core pain and the memories that were about, destructive relationships and the hurt, got to get those out of the way. So, oh man, this woman that wanted to meet a man and have a happy life. And this was many, many years ago. She came into my office and I had her go into the future and meet her soulmate after we did some work on repairing her stuff. So she goes and in the future, she's meeting this guy. She tells me what he's wearing and what he looks like and all these details, right? I think it was about 2 months after that session, she met him. His name is Dave. And she said, Wendi, the thing on his shirt when I was in a hypnosis, the little emblem, that's what was on his shirt. And she said something about like his hair color was the same, but she knew as soon as he held her hand, she says, that's the one that was in my future. And they have been together over 30 years now.
Wow.
Or no, not 30, because I have only been doing this 28 years. So it would probably be about 25 years.
Great.
They're still together and I still stay in touch with her.
Wonderful, wonderful.
But people they've done that. And I don't know how we do that. We have so much more than just our physical body and our thoughts and our brain and our senses. We have so much more. There was an experiment I did when I was doing a seminar in New York. There were about 35 people there but they all stood up in a circle. And in the middle of the circle were 2 chairs, and the 2 people in the chairs had to close their eyes. And then I would hold up a sign that told the people in the circle what to imagine and what to send to those 2 people without any noises or any words. And like the first one was being on a beach. And that's all it said, being on a beach. So they're going to imagine it for 30 seconds and then send it to them. And then we don't say a word. And I say, okay, now just release those feelings. And the next one was, it was a dark alley. I still remember this. And so they're supposed to imagine a dark alley and do that one. And then the third one was a roller coaster. Okay. So this is very important for your listeners to know that what we think about and imagine inside of us, other people are getting it. Even if they don't know they're getting it, we can influence other people. So then I would say, okay, open your eyes, the 2 ladies in the middle. And I said, the first one, tell me in the first thing what you felt. And she says, I felt like I was lying down. Maybe I was in the sun. I could hear birds in the background. And it was very warm and soft. What I was lying on was really nice and soft. And I felt good. And the second one says, I could hear the waves. I'm pretty sure I was like on a beach because I could hear waves and I could hear like maybe palm trees rustling or something. So I'm already having my mind blown. So then I said with the second one, what was that? And one woman says, let's see. Oh, this was the dark alley. She says, my heart started pounding so hard on that second one. And I was scared, but I don't know why, because I couldn't see anything. I didn't visualize anything. It was a dark alley, right? But my heart was pounding and I was scared. And the next one says, I was running away from something and I don't know where I was running to because I could barely see anything because it was dark. Mind blown again. Okay, so the third one, which was the roller coaster, the first lady says, I said, what did you experience? Because I didn't use any wording that would be hints. I would just say, what did you experience? Says, well, I wasn't sure at first because it was weird. It's like I'm sitting in something and I'm going up and I don't understand what I'm sitting in and why I'm going up, 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 up. She says there's these clicking noises all around too. So, the roller coaster, the clicking and stuff. The second one says, I was going down very fast. I don't know why, but I'm sitting, maybe sitting in something, but I'm going down and it's going really fast. And I don't feel scared. Okay. It says it's fun, but I don't feel scared. So we did this. We did a bunch of different sets of this with taking 2 different people, putting them in the middle. And they were right on every time. Like, I don't know, it's always amazing how they could perceive what we all were sending to them with their eyes closed. So in relationships, here's my point. Yeah. If you want to be in a relationship, what are you internally thinking and filling your body with and feeling and not even knowing it, but sending it to that person? Are you sending fear and unworthiness, or that, oh, I don't know, so many men have left me, I just don't know if I can do it again? Or are you sending feelings of, we could make an amazing life together. We could have such good communication and we could be so supportive of each other. Are you sending that?
Thank you, Wendy. It made a lot of clarity. It was like, instead of interview, I should say it is turning into a mini session on hypnosis with multiple topics covered. And Wendy,
Yeah.
now, yeah, we'll move from singles to people who are already into relationship. And yes, one is people have been body shamed in their childhood or
Mm.
various stages of life, and they don't like their body or being themselves, and feel less confident, and it impacts their sexual life.
Yeah. Yeah.
As here comes about specific question about men, who have this premature ejaculation, and many even sexologists and other doctors also say that most I don't say every case, but mostly it has to do with the mind as well. So does
Yeah.
hypnosis help men with premature ejaculation issues
Ejaculation.
with hypnosis?
Yeah. And at first, I didn't think that hypnosis would help with that because it seemed like it's just a physical problem that's happening. But I decided to work with a man, the first one that asked me, to just work with him and see if we could find a cause for it.
Okay.
And every man is different as far as the cause for premature ejaculation. But even now, that program that I have for it, it's one of my best sellers because a lot of men need help with it. So this was interesting because I did regression to cause, but he only went back to being a teenager in high school. And he, in hypnosis, he told me, oh, I'm with my girlfriend. After high school, we go to her house because her parents are not home from work yet, and we have sex. And he says, I'm remembering, right now I can remember it all. She says to me over and over and over again, because her parents might come home anytime. She says, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. He says, I think that did it. That's why I have an orgasm too quickly. Okay. And there's different reasons for every man.
Yes.
But in the recorded program, it still has you find your cause for it, something that is either from the past or currently causing that to happen. We have to find your personal and unique reason for it happening. And then we do a lot of direct suggestion, which is things like, after we've gotten rid of the cause, things like, your body knows how to have a really satisfying sex life, and it knows how to operate and last as long as you want. And anytime you want to just know that you can last longer and you can stay erect, and just touch your thumb and finger together and just rub your thumb and finger together, and your brain remembers how to make you last longer and have a more beautiful, powerful experience. And it works. It's a great thing. Boy, it's a lot of men's lives that have been changed.
Yes. Because, when first I hesitated to ask these questions over this interview, because I have done different types of interviews but never spoke on this topic. Then I felt, why not? Why not? Let it be open, because this is when people do have help. People have certain programs to get help. So why not talk about it?
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you
Yeah,
for
we do need to. And
openly sharing
especially
it. Yeah.
for sexual function for women, because women have real guilt about not orgasming and being worried that they're not going to, and having to fake it, and getting women to reconnect with their body so that they will get aroused as they should and get all the feelings and sensations that they deserve. But there's just a lot that happens to women in their sex lives, especially when they're young, and it creates a lot of tension and nervousness. So I I did something that another hypnotist told me about. He said, you can just make circles on the back of a hand of a woman, and you can make that the thing that makes her have an orgasm. And I said, no way. So I did that for a woman. And we just said, let's see what happens. Maybe this will help you with your sex life. And I wouldn't say that she was having an orgasm while we were sitting there in my office, but she was like just feeling waves and waves of pleasure. And she said, and had sex with my husband. Like, she came back and said, when I had sex with my husband after that, it was like almost just instantly things just came up and I had an orgasm and it was easy. But then we did an experiment on a TV show, and one of the women who worked for me let me do this on her hand while they were filming her. And she actually was having orgasms while they were filming. People were watching, because we had done a session before this to get her conditioned to this being the trigger. And she says it was real. It was absolutely physically real. No question about it.
That's fine. That's excellent experience you have shared, Wendy, because people who are going through this type of intimacy issues and feeling low can really get benefited from hypnotherapy. And there's this another stuff I want to ask, Wendy, because there are certain hypnosis programs. Of course, I'm slightly hesitating, so it comes like I had to make myself comfortable about enlarge your breast programs using hypnosis, or there are some no need to have surgery, and then use this hypnosis for yourself and increasing your penis size enlargement. This hypnosis, does it really work? So I never got
ridiculous
chance to ask any hypnotherapist, because I've come across such programs, Wendy. So just wanted to ask, out of your experience, what is your perspective on it?
Well, for me, this started because I read the research from Stanford University, and I think it was UCLA was the other one. They both did research, valid research projects on breast enlargement with hypnosis. If you Google it, you can find it, and it'll show the studies. The success rate was like over 80%, that these women grew 2 cup sizes. And what they would do is they did hypnosis for them with a hypnotherapist in person. I think it was over a 3-month period. And during those 3 months, they would come in and measure their breasts every week. And the way they measured them, it's kind of interesting. It's water displacement. So there's a container of water, and she would dip her breast into the water, and they'd measure how much water it displaced to know what the actual size of the breast was. And both studies showed growth of 1 to 2 cup sizes from 2 different universities, and the growth doesn't go away. It continued to stay there. So, and I made a program for breast enlargement, which is actually used by a lot of men who are trying to transition as a woman, and they do that. Not that they're going to grow breasts, but they just feel more feminine. And some say, I have phantom breasts now, I can feel them. But so anyway, the man asked me if it would enlarge his penis, and I said, I don't think so. I don't think we can do that. He says, would you just make me a recording just to see, and I'll use it? And I really gave him no expectation that this would work, but which I don't normally do, I just thought, that's okay, here you go. So he has this recording. It's about 30 minutes long, and it's very nice. I mean, it's not like, pornographic or anything. It's about his brain connecting with the cells in that area that are creating growth and becoming bigger. So he went on a business trip. While he was listening to this, he was away from his wife for 1 month. And that's when he listened to the program, and he was measuring width, girth and length. And he said, when I got back and my wife and I were wanting to have sex, he says, it actually was bigger and had trouble getting it in. And he measured the growth, and he said, I don't remember how much he gained in in length. But he was in touch with me like many months later and said, I've still got the change. It didn't go away. It's still there. And I haven't been listening to the program. So I thought our brain is amazing at telling the cells what to do, whether it's for an illness or fixing something in your body or getting rid of pain or making your body parts be bigger or smaller. So I had, so just a real quick story that has to do with this. I had a ring stuck on my finger and it had been stuck for a few weeks and I couldn't get it off, and I would pull and pull and pull, and my finger was getting really swollen. And I tried ice and butter and everything. So I was going to go to the jeweler that day to have it cut off. And I called the jeweler and he said, yeah, come on down. And before I did that, before I drove over there, I closed my eyes and I imagined going through my body, down through my arm, into that finger, inside of that finger, seeing the inside of that finger and draining the fluid, getting the swelling to go down. And I'm seeing the cells like shrink up and go back to their normal size. And this was maybe 10 minutes that I did this. And then I thought, oh, that's not going to work. So I got in the car to go to the jeweler.
Okay.
Yeah. And I didn't even believe it was going to work. And I'm on the way there. I stop at a stop sign, or it's the stoplight or whatever. Without thinking, I reached over and pulled the ring off my finger, just like that. It just easily, it pulled right off of my finger.
Wow.
This was within a half an hour of when I did the session. The swelling was gone. And so if we have that power to do that, we can also change some other aspects of our body. I don't know how many things we can change, but apparently breasts and penises are very receptive.
I like the word, they are very receptive. Maybe because of the need or the way we are conditioned to have certain sizes and all that. People who
Well,
believe
if you're a man, if you're a man and you don't have a large enough penis and you're self-conscious about it, what are you thinking about all the time? You're just reinforcing how, oh man, this is so hard on my life. And this is so embarrassing. And I don't know what I'm going to do. All you're doing is reinforcing that.
Yes.
But yeah, a lot of men have used that program. They love that program because it's not just about your size. It's about you being a really great lover and not just being a man who's looking to get laid. It's about you being a really wonderful lover and really being in the experience with your partner. Yeah. So
and imagine the kind of change it brings in one's life and freeing them from all those mental garbage they have created for themselves. Amazing, Wendy. So that's the reason I was like, oh my God, what all should I ask? This lady has created a hell lot of programs. Amazing. Wendy, 300 plus programs with real life issues, which are making difference in millions of lives. Awesome.
Yeah.
And I promise this is my last question, Wendy.
It's okay. You can keep going.
I don't want to stop this. I know this is the wonderful program you have created for fellow hypnotherapists and coaches on how to develop their skills in hypnosis, timeline therapy, and mixture of various other things, the combination of audio, video, and all that stuff. So could you please tell about that program? I'm sure other coaches and therapists who are watching this get to know about this program and how they can use it. Please tell about that program.
Yeah, well, you need to first get a certification program to learn hypnotherapy. There's a lot to learn. It is really just out of control how much you have to learn and practice. Because you don't just go you don't go get a certification online for $20, then go see clients. And then all of a sudden they're like having this meltdown and they're sobbing and you don't know what to do. You can't, you got to get good training. But what you do after you get that good training and you spent several months practicing on other students, you then can learn some advanced techniques. So in my training, a lot of the things I do, I developed them, and you're learning something that comes from some other source. I don't know how I've come up with this stuff. When I'm with a client, there is a higher power that is just downloading this information into my body and my brain for me to give to them. That's what it feels like. Whether or not that is what your listeners believe or don't believe doesn't really matter, but the creative source of information is amazing. Oh, so then you learn and learn and learn from your clients and from the successes you have of what worked. But if you listen to my trainings, they're very specific on a certain topic, and you will become really good at that technique. But also, like some hypnotherapists they use direct suggestion, just telling you what is going to happen instead of having you make it happen. So I want the person to experience it as it's happening for them a week from now, a month from now, 6 months from. If you have road rage, if you're an angry person, I want you to experience yourself as being this person that when you touch the steering wheel and when you're driving, you just love driving. And all those idiots around you, they have no effect on you. They'll always be there.
Yeah.
But that doesn't matter. And I want you to feel it, notice the sounds, and create a memory in your brain that is, even though we created it, you believe that it's real. Your brain believes that it's real. You still know that you created this with the hypnotherapist, but your brain reacts to it as if it's real. And that's how people change with that. But yeah, I would look at my training programs. I have many of them for all different topics, and you'll get better fast. I also will help you be more creative in your hypnotherapy business, because the creativity is absolutely essential. You have to be creative on the spot. You have to learn to come up with some methodologies that you didn't learn in a book. So I do a lot with that.
Okay. And does that mean that people who are already qualified hypnotherapists and experienced, but still stuck in certain areas, like for example, regression to the cause or something?
Yeah.
So do you offer personal mentorings as well? I'm sorry, breaking the promise. I'm asking you one more question because there's a lot to ask, Wendy. Yeah. So do you offer personal mentoring sessions to the experienced hypnotherapists, Wendy?
I could. Yeah. And I have done mentoring with many people. We do some of it by email. They will ask me their questions, and we do some where I answer the questions by recording something for them, a little 5-minute explanation. And I love doing that. I love helping them. I also do classes online that are for anybody to teach them how to do these things. So there's a lot of different ways. And one of the important things with hypnotherapists is you shouldn't be a hypocrite in your work. Like, you have migraines, or you're a smoker and you're a hypnotherapist, or you're fat because you can't quit eating sugar or whatever. It's so important to your clients that you're working on yourself as well. So if I'm mentoring them, it's going to include me making sure they got their stuff together as well. When I've gone to hypnosis conferences, oh my gosh, there's all these, it's kind of the older generation of hypnotists, but they're smoking and they're fat and they're eating all these disgusting foods that aren't good for them. And it's just so bizarre because they didn't get the memo.
Excellent. Thank you, Wendy. It was amazing talking to you, and your experience was very inspiring. Your journey, the unique methodologies you have implemented, like whatever the source of it is, and you have been a gift to the world. Through you, a lot of work has been done, and uh, uh, um, a lady, a single mother who was broke once, going ahead and, like, what do I call, is like walk the talk, So you have experienced it and shared your gifts with the world. So that is more inspiring in your unique ways. And thank you for sharing the some of the case studies with your clients as well. And I'm sure, friends, you will definitely enjoy all this conversation. And I'll make sure this website details are also mentioned in the YouTube description, so that whoever wants to purchase different products of various categories, you name it, there is there. I promise that you might not need anything beyond. So thank you very much, Wendy. It was wonderful talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you. This has been great. And anybody listening, you can email me and I will answer your questions, and I'll just give you whatever my thoughts are. And of course, there's no charge for that. And I would love to help you and direct you to whatever you need to get over some problems in your life and feel better about what you're doing.
That's a
Yeah.
beautiful
It's
gift.
been a blast talking to you. This is great. So nice to
Thank
meet
you.
you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you.